Announce the kickoff of Exercise Steadfast Defender 2024, which commences next week and runs through May. Steadfast Defender 24 will be the largest NATO exercise in decades, with participation from approximately 90,000 forces from all 31 allies, plus our good partner, Sweden. The alliance will demonstrate its ability to reinforce the Euro-Atlantic area via transatlantic movement of forces from North America. This reinforcement will occur during a simulated emerging conflict scenario against a near-peer adversary. Steadfast Defender 24 will be a clear demonstration of our unity, our strength, and our determination to protect each other, to protect, of course, our values and the rules-based international order.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And what you just saw was a video. This is from the elder brother Amawan Gabar's page, where he posts, some clips about things that are basically going on in the world. And so this Steadfast Defender 2024, Steadfast, interesting. I looked this up, I found an article on it, and it's pretty much in accordance to what you just heard. I guess he was a general, or what he was basically saying. And ultimately, this is another step in prophecy, because all the way up from, years ago, okay, as we've been telling you about the direction in which things are headed in, now we're pretty much at the point where Russia has gone from, being in that calm, trying to resolve things through peace state, to now being awoken. And now you have NATO getting involved, okay, just as we mentioned. And on the other hand, you also have the whole situation going on over there with Israel and Iran and these Arab countries. And eventually all of this is going to be merged into one war, okay, one major world war. But as you can see here in the title here, the MOTB got to be right around the corner. Nah, it's up the street, And why is that? Because we understand that prior to this war going nuclear, okay, that destruction, that ultimate nuclear destruction happening, that MOTB, okay, the implantable, is gonna have to be implemented and made mandatory, okay. But it's all gonna merge nicely into prophecy anyway. So let's read a little bit here from Reuters.com with this article here. This came out January 21st, so this was yesterday. So it's fairly fresh news. NATO's Steadfast Defender exercise, or exercises, mark return to Cold War schemes, Russia says. The difference with this time, however, is that the Cold War is not going to stay cold. It's going to get hot. In fact, it's going to get very, very hot. So, continuing on, the scale of NATO's Steadfast Defender 2024 exercises mark an irrevocable return of the alliance to Cold War schemes. Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister, Alexander Grushko, told the state RIA news agency in remarks published on Sunday. NATO said on Thursday it was launching its largest exercise since the Cold War, involving some 90,000 troops, rehearsing how U.S. troops could reinforce European allies in countries bordering Russia and on the alliance's eastern flank if a conflict were to flare up with a near-peer adversary, as they put it. Okay, and within that region over there, who would be considered a near-peer adversary if not for Russia? And you need to ask yourself, realistically, and put yourself in reality and say, why is it that all of a sudden, after all these years, they're deciding to do this Steadfast 2024 exercise, which is, like it says, the largest exercise since the Cold War. And we're not talking about, this isn't like some arbitrary country that just got up one day and decided to do this. This is NATO, okay, a part of the beast, which is in prophecy is gonna be involved in this war with Russia. So things are very quickly heading in that direction. Continuing, the exercises are another element of the hybrid war unleashed by the West against Russia, Grushko told RIA. An exercise of this scale marks the final and irrevocable return of NATO to the Cold War schemes, when the military planning process, resource, and infrastructure are being prepared for confrontation with Russia. So it's, I mean, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you like that it's going in this direction or not, that's just the fact that this is where things are headed. Okay. And there are only going to be more and more escalations, provocations, because events will happen, and it'll heat up the situation more and more and more until eventually one small matter leads to another another small matter, and then eventually it becomes a great matter. It only takes one thing. So once the Heavenly Father is ready, He's going to pull the trigger via putting the spirit on one of these nations to do something. All right, that's just going to ultimately escalate this whole thing, because the Most High is the one who's pretty much controlling this chessboard, moving these pieces around. And then, like I said, whether you like it or not, it's the Most High's game. NATO did not mention Russia by name in its announcement, but its top strategic document identifies Russia as the most significant and direct threat to NATO members' security. And well, I mean, we're talking about like one of the final major prophecies in the book, and it's I mean, it's right here. We're seeing it. We're hearing talks about it, which Yahushua prophesied about. But it goes to show you that we're this close to the Lord, closing the show. Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. In what Kiev and its Western allies have said was an unprovoked, imperialistic land grab. Moscow and its chief diplomat, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, have since often accused the collective West of conducting a hybrid war against Russia by backing Ukraine through financial and military aid. So with the announcement of this steadfast defender exercises, along with many other things that have been slated for this year, many other things, on the health side of things, on the financial side of things, on the economic side of things, there's a lot, all right, that can go down this year, and as these elites have been, as they've put their front men out there to push out to the people, the whole concept of the polycrisis, which is multiple crises or crises happening at once. And that's why the scriptures tell you that truly it's going to be a time like never before. A lot of people are not ready for this. Now, this is the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. A prophecy concerning the getting ready or the gathering of these troops for this war. So it reads, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles." Now, who are the Gentiles? The Gentiles are non-Israelites. Okay, Israel is not participating in this war, and what I mean by that is, right now we're not even in a position to be a sovereign, power. Okay, so we don't have our nation. I'm not talking about the Israelis. Okay, so it says here, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. So when you deal with like the NATO countries, the Russia and China and Iran and the Houthis, all of these people, they're pretty much the Gentiles, okay? And it says here, prepare war. So when you prepare something, you get it ready. You start like if you're preparing food, the end goal is going to be what? Food, right? Preparing is the process of getting to the end goal. So when you are preparing war, you are getting ready for war. The destination is going to be war. So as it says here, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. And the mighty men are considered the men of war. In the ancient world, these would be, your warriors. They have their swords, shields, arrows, and so on and so forth. Today, you have your military. So waking up the mighty men, because your military is not, I mean, they have some that are like on active duty and so on and so forth. But typically when there's no actual tension. There's no need for war. There's no like sense of war. You're in a time of peace. The military, they try to stay on point, but they're not as on edge and ready to go, as if they start to sense that time of like war. So as it says here, wake up the mighty men. So start getting them ready, and that's what these nations are doing, and not in the form of just training their troops. But I mean, when you have exercises like this, right? As it says here, what is the goal of this exercise? Well, as it says here, it's the largest exercise since the Cold War. It's going to involve 90,000 troops. And what are they doing? They're rehearsing how U.S. troops could reinforce European allies in countries bordering Russia and on the alliance's eastern flank if a conflict. What kind of conflict would that be? That would be war, where to flare up. So this is an example of preparing war. This is an example of them getting their mighty men ready for a case like this. Now, this is not cheap. This is not something cheap to do. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort. It's broadcasted. So if you don't actually see this as a possibility, then there's no need to be doing all this. Anyway, it's like here it is. You have no inclination that it's going to rain, but you have an umbrella. You're carrying this annoying ass umbrella with you everywhere you're going. For what? But if you check the weather and they say it's going to rain later today, then it makes sense that you have an umbrella with you. Anyway, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. And when you look at what a sword and a spear is used for, these are war instruments or war weapons. These are weapons. Plowshares and pruning hooks are instruments. Swords and spears are weapons. So if you convert your plowshare into a sword, that tells you that you're going from a time where you're basically the time that you're into or you're going into, you're not going to need plowshares. What you're going to need is a weapon. Okay, and weapons are mainly used in times of war, violence. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither calls thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. So this is pretty much what the Lord is telling Joel to prophesy concerning these heathens, to wake up their mighty men, to get ready for war, to start doing their exercises, start warming up, and ultimately to gather themselves together where? Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew this is Yahweh Shaphat, which it translates to the Lord's judgment. Okay, and that's in that region of what they call the Middle East. So the heathen are being wakened right now. That's why they're coming up, getting ready to do all these different things over here. This wasn't what they were doing decades ago. Okay, things calmed down for a bit. And that's why whenever you told somebody about World War III years ago, it was very hard for them to believe it, because they're like, bruh, I mean, yeah, you got ISIS and all this going on over in the East, but, things are not that. World War III with Russia and NATO, and that's not, they're chilling right now. They're cool. They're trying to sign peace treaties and nuclear, treaties and stuff. But now you can start to see how that's a possibility, at least if you're paying attention. And come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So the Lord is going to use different events and different means and different provocations to draw these nations into that region for war. And then he's going to bring that judgment upon them. And at that time, as the war goes nuclear, is when the Lord is going to send Yahweh Shai back. So it's all intertwined. One thing leads to another, which leads to another. The second the first domino falls, that it's only a matter of time before the domino in the middle or the last piece falls. Okay, so now let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1. Actually, let me hit this one first. 2nd Ezra, chapter 5, verse 1. Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, now the tokens here were, in 2nd Ezra, at least in this chapter, for example, you had the angel Uriel who was sent to Ezra to answer his questions, to provide him a certain visions of things that were to come. And so the tokens that were given Ezra were really like these signs of what was to happen in the future. And as we're reading here, as the angel tells him, as coming the tokens, as the remaining tokens, the things that are to happen, behold, the days come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number. When it says they're going to be taken in a great number, it means they're going to die. So what are some things that are going to cause people on the earth to be taken out in a great number? Famines, diseases, war. And those are the things you see brewing up right now. So these tokens that Ezra received, majority of them were really pointing to this time that we're in. And the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. And a lot of people don't have faith today. And that's why they're going to get caught up. See, the thing is, they don't believe now, but they're going to believe. You're going to have no choice but to believe when you see that when one day you hear on the news, yada yada, they're officially at war and so on and so forth. They may not have shot the nukes off yet, but they're officially at war. You're going to have no choice but to believe it. When they come out and they for however they decide to set it up, they start implementing this digital ID system, and they start introducing the implantable to people and start putting it into people. It doesn't matter what you said before. It's going to be right in front of you. You're going to have no option but to believe it because you're going to see it. The only difference is everybody at some point is going to see the truth. They're going to know, yep, you know what? That it's right there. I can't deny it. The only difference is for some it's going to be too late. Because once you finally believe it, then you're gonna start to think, oh shoot, now that I know this is real, what can I do about it? But it's gonna be too late. It's gonna be too late. All right. Anyway, back in 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 1, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then, right, those signs, those tokens, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So this is why we're constantly doing lessons on like these kinds of articles, or things pertaining to prophecy, because we have understanding according to what's written in the book of what is going to happen, right? We know according to the prophecies that nuclear war is going to happen, that the implantable device is going to be made mandatory. But we have to measure the times diligently to see the signs that lead up to it and give the warning. Because when it finally gets here, that's game over. So we have to warn you and let you know, hey, it's coming. We got to look at, okay, these are the things that are happening in the world. This is the prophetic end goal. So we're connecting the dots to say, oh, okay, so based on what we read in here, this has to be what leads to this, which leads to that, which gets us to whatever we're reading about in here. Okay? Because the scriptures will tell you what's going to happen, but it doesn't always tell you that, 2 years prior, this is going to happen, and then this guy is going to do this, and this guy is going to do it, and they're going to use that to cause this to come about. What it will tell you that they're going to bring this, they're going to do this, but that's why we have to measure the times and connect the dots. Okay, and put the pieces together to let you know, oh, remember how the scripture said X, Y, and Z? Well, now you can see why it said that, because of this, or because of that, or because of this. Verse 2. Then shalt thou understand, yep, like we read it. So as we start to see these signs, we know that, yep, this is definitely that time. This is that generation. And people don't have much time. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things, or spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Because the scriptures tell you that the Most High declares the end from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Okay, and that's what we're seeing now. The signs of the end are being made manifest. So we know that we're living in the last days. This isn't a guess. It's not by coincidence. These things that are happening are happening. They're happening according to a script. Okay, And as time goes on, more and more people are going to start to see, and they're going to start to be more and more afraid, because the remaining prophecies are very scary and destructive. Okay, they're not pleasant times for the world. So anyway, with that, Lord willing, this is edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha Kodesh. And until next time, Shalom.